Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing in the Galactic Family Podcast world tonight? I am doing awesome, and I have a great guest for you tonight, Jim Andre, UFO experiencer and founder of the Alien Connection Truth Network. He's a lifelong UFO and extraterrestrial experiencer whose encounters have shaped his mission to uncover the truth about alien contact. As the founder of Alien Connection Truth, he has built a dedicated community where seekers, researchers, and fellow experiencers can share their stories, discuss the unexplained, and explore the mysteries of the universe. Based in Lake Wales, Florida, Jim has made it his life's work to shed light on the realities of extraterrestrial contact, offering a space for open dialogue and exploration beyond the boundaries of conventional understanding through his network. He continues to challenge skeptics, empower believers, and push for greater disclosure of what lies beyond our world. And that's what we are going to do here today. We are going to bring him on board. We have Jim Andre. How you doing, Jim?
Good. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing great, Jim. Man, it was great talking to you for a couple minutes for the show. That it's wonderful what you're doing, and I just the main reason actually why I reached out to you in the beginning was you're doing the same thing that everyone should be doing, not not telling people that they're making stuff up or just dismissing them. You listen to them, you
Right.
hear them, and you understand that not all people are going to see the same things.
Exactly. No,
Um,
nobody has the same experiences. Exactly the same. So,
exactly. But now, when did it start for you? Like you were, young, a boy. When did you first experience your first contact experience?
actually, at the age of 8 years old,
Oh wow.
um, Betty and Bonnie Hill were abducted on September 19th, 1961. Which, if you want to believe in coincidences, was coincidentally my eighth birthday.
Oh wow.
And I've always felt as a child that I was tied up in that somehow or on the same craft with them at the time. And fast forward to the fall of 2012, I experienced another abduction, alien abduction. I'm a retired Massachusetts constable and motor coach bus driver, and I was still living in Massachusetts. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and I distinctly remember it was a Wednesday night, and I had in mind, about having to get up early for work the next morning to drive the bus. And with that in mind, I sat in front of the computer and I looked down at the lower right hand corner of the computer monitor to verify the time because with the thought that I had to get up early for work the next morning.
Yeah.
And it read 9:15 p.m.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, I just like went out, and then I'm coming to and wondering where I'm at, and I'm trying to gather my thoughts, and I look over the alarm clock. It said 2:57 a.m.
Oh wow.
Now I'm still sitting in front of the computer, and then all of a sudden I feel this intense burning sensation on my right forearm, and I was really beside myself. But this is the tattoo that was left during that abduction.
Oh wow.
I know it sounds bizarre, and I had a hard time trying to rationalize this within myself for maybe about a year and a half, almost 2 years before I come out with it publicly. But in the interim, I began to understand more about it, feeling more comfortable with it, and I'm actually connected with them telepathically. I get random downloads from them every now and then of information. I can't do it at will, but
Yes.
they just send it when it comes.
Well, I mean that's still incredible. I mean, I myself get it once in a while as well too. I don't have direct. It's whenever they
Yeah,
decide.
it's not like I can press a button and have direct communication, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when they want to give it to you, they do. And when they don't, well, they
Well,
don't.
that's the thing. They feel when the time is right
Exactly. And
because I
they
mean
know.
even disclosure itself, which will come one day, has got to be timed perfectly.
Yes, it does. I mean, you've seen I mean everybody was losing their minds back when War of the Worlds came over the radio, and they thought it was real. But then uh now fast forward to today and everybody's like, "Oh, did you see that UFO yesterday?" Everybody's like, "No, I didn't see nothing. I wasn't even looking up."
Right. Well,
uh,
today too many people are too busy looking at their cell phones.
yeah, they are. They really are. And I mean, it surprises me too that I had an AI and interdimensional, speaker here that was on here that was, oh, what was it? Oh God, hyperdimensional computing.
Uh,
Ooh, way out there. I had him on here, and I was like, this cell phone has more technology than the Apollo missions.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
you can see how far above we've jumped in technology. Uh, like what now? What was the most profound life changing? Like what changed your experiences with them? Was it those in the beginning that was it a good experience or was it more
Well, at first it was apprehensive because I didn't
okay?
understand. I mean, in other words, it's something that I had a hard time believing. Never mind trying to convince
Yeah.
somebody else of it. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
But as time went on, they kind of like contacted me a little bit at a time.
Okay.
And in other words, what I can say from my experience is that it is ended up to be a positive experience. I understand, what it's about,
Hmm.
and I'm feeling more comfortable in my own skin since it's happened. So I would have to label it as a positive experience.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean it 99% are. And you can't really fault any extraterrestrials for doing the same thing that humans do to animals.
exactly.
We do science experiments. We tag them. We GPS them. We find out where they're going. We
Right.
study them. They're doing the same thing.
Well, our intelligence, I believe, is our downfall, and will prove to be our downfall one day. You see, because in other words, we're curious about everything. Even though we're a part of nature, we keep trying to outdo nature.
Yes.
But nature will always rule over man. Okay,
Nature wins every time.
because there's three sets of fundamental laws. One is man's law. The next is God's law, or what man interprets or thinks God's laws should be.
Yep.
And the third set of laws is the laws of nature. And out of them three sets of laws, there's only one set that cannot be broken. And that's the
Nature.
laws of nature. Right?
Yep.
For
Exactly.
example, if I cut myself, it'll magically heal itself.
Hmm.
Right? But if I'm unfortunate enough to lose a digit like my index finger, I can't grow a new one. Why?
Nope.
Why? Because nature says I can't.
Exactly.
So no matter how much man tries to outdo nature, nature will always rule over man. Man's got this bad idea that the earth belongs to him, when in reality, man belongs to the earth.
Well, look at what happened today. Like right before we got off, I'd watched. I think I'd watched the news for about 5 minutes, and they said something about a giant ice shelf just disconnected from somewhere, and they're able to look underneath of it now, and they're studying all these new animals and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's great, you're studying the animals, but why isn't somebody worrying that this giant ice sheet just broke off?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you're worried about making discoveries, but you're not worried about the consequences of making those discoveries.
Yeah, well, we see ourselves as being intelligent, but we're a species capable of saving lives with one hand while deliberately destroying the lives with the other,
Yeah.
which displays an intelligence which is somewhat flawed.
So so did your experiences when you were younger, um, did they shape your experiences growing up? Did that inspire you to make the group that you have right now?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And this is what gave me a whole new outlook on life itself, and the big picture, if you will.
Okay.
I mean, the bottom line is life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved.
That's very true. Very true. And people need to know that. It's like you wake up tomorrow and you walk across the street, you get hit by a bus. But what happened before you got hit by the bus? You had a great day. You had
Right.
a wonderful day. Nothing wrong, nothing happened. Just it's life.
That's right. Yeah.
It's life. So what kinds of discussion and research is most common?
Well, you've got a lot of debate over many things, like such as the technology. How many different species there are. I mean, there's no clear cut answer as far as to be able to determine that exactly.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the debate.
Okay. Well, I would say like there's too many to count.
Oh yeah, oh, there's many different species. Yeah,
Yeah, if the universe truly is endless, then we have an endless possibility of different species that can inhabit all different types of environments.
right. I mean, the thing is, for anyone to think that we're the only intelligent life form in an endless universe, you'd have to be quite narrow-minded.
Oh yeah, I consider dolphins and squids and octopus to be more smarter than we are.
Oh yeah, whales as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, whales. But
Yeah.
most of the animals that use the echolocation, they're a
Right.
lot
Exactly.
smarter because they can
Yeah.
see.
They actually communicate with each other like we speak.
Yeah. So how has the network grown over the years? Like you started with the network and then
Yeah, we're up to about, I think it's like 119,000 or 20,000 members.
oh wow, no, nice.
Yeah,
Nice. That's awesome. See, that's 120,000 people that you have reached that they don't have to sit there and say they're at home going, I have nobody to listen to me. What do I do?
right, exactly.
They're
Yeah,
in their own heads.
because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have had experiences that don't want to talk about it, and
Exactly.
they just hold it in. They just bury it.
It drives people crazy too. Like, and they don't have anybody to go to for answers.
Well, that's why I started to contemplate and try to relax and understand my own experience, and through time, I was able to do that.
Okay. What about now you said you received every once in a while you receive messages from them.
Right.
Now I know we can't quantify how many species, but you do believe they're different though. They're not just one. There's
Yeah,
many.
I believe.
Okay.
I believe there's different species with different intentions, just like any other species would be.
Okay. And have you had contact with multiple types? Like, is it
No,
been just
the only ones I've had contact with is the Zeta reticuli,
okay?
the short grays.
Okay. See, mine was the mantoid. Mine
Oh,
was the
okay.
mantis. Yep. Yeah.
Is
The
that
mantis.
like the insectoids?
Yeah. Well, when I was on the ship, that was what was coming through my head was mantoid was the race. So I was like, oh, mantoid. I'm like, okay. So I
What did
just
they
went
look
with
like?
it.
Did you get to see what they look like?
Like a bluish scaly skin with almost like a human like face, but they had like almost
Like
like
gills or
teeth
something?
out, like teeth or something like right
Oh
down here.
yeah, yeah.
But it had like a human face, and then it had two like antennas that were coming backwards.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, what is that? And they said, oh, those are just, they do the atmosphere. And I said, oh, what? I said, yeah. They said, yeah, you guys need technology to do that. We just walk around and we are the technology. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I got it. I got it. so they could tell when it's going to rain, or
Yeah. So in other words, I guess they can adapt to whatever's around them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So have they communicated specific messages to you, like don't do this, turn off nuclear power?
Well, that is one big thing right there that you mentioned, is the nuclear power, because that's a reality. I mean, that could destroy the earth. I will say that I am sure that they will intervene before anything like that does happen. Not necessarily to save man from man himself, but to save themselves from man, if you will.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories of rockets that have gone to space that were supposed to have nuclear warheads that are now benign. They're no more nuclear at all.
Yeah, well, you can do a little research, or anybody that's listening can do a little research and Google Larry King Live, which is a pretty reputable news media outlet. He had 5 servicemen on there with the Air Force, Army, and all that on one segment that was talking about the sightings of UFOs over nuclear silos.
Yeah.
And they had the capability of cutting the power to the nuclear weaponry, and it would take the military 24 hours to reboot it. So that tells me they're going around doing their homework, testing their technology to prevent that if it ever comes to that.
Oh yeah, but even then, like once, like what I was told also was that the machines went down for 24 hours, and they were able to restart them after 24 hours.
Right.
But they never actually figured out what they did to shut them down. They tore it apart. Like they took that command center down to like the little itty bitty wires. They were like, we don't know how they shut it down. And then
they did. Yeah, they got the technology where they can do that at will. Yep.
Yeah, but they also have technology to turn it on, I've heard too.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, but and that was happening at bases worldwide, not just here in the United States.
No, I've heard they turned on missiles in Russia once, and they, the countdown went down to like 5, and then they shut it off or something. It was a UFO, pretty much saying we could do it, but would they actually do it? Like,
well, I don't think they would.
I think it's like a warning, like this is what we could do.
Right. Oh yeah, I mean, they got the technology. If they wanted to obliterate us, they would have done that a long time ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when, like, you think about ancient times when it's like they helped us. You have like the Indians,
exactly.
The ant people came up, and
how do you think the pyramids were built?
Exactly. Yep. See, everybody says, "Oh, it was the ancient Egyptians." Well, the Egyptians didn't really build them. They said they moved in and said, "Oh, look, buildings," and they carved all over them. And they said they made the carvings on them, and they did all that. And they said, "We now claim these buildings." Of course, you're going to think if you go in there and see all these lavish carvings, oh, it's all Egyptian, but
yeah, well, they can carve what they want on there, but you see, that was the aliens. They built the island of Atlantis.
Yep.
That served as a learning facility.
I believe that.
Jumpstart man's knowledge. Where they taught them mathematics, engineering, astrology, astronomy, all that stuff.
But I don't think Atlantis sunk. What I think is Atlantis rose like a rocket, like the whole island just left.
Yeah, that's a possibility, yeah.
Because I think it was Chrysis and Timaeus that said back in Plato had that for Chrysis and Timaeus. They said that the island, they saw what was it? They said it was an angel with a glowing sword, and that's how the island either sank or whatever. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, that's like a rocket. You got an angel with a flaming sword, and you got the island on top. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they left.
Right.
We gave them enough trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they understand that we're free will spirits. They would not intervene in a way where they would force us to do anything that we wouldn't want to do, But
I totally agree with him. If the ancient Egyptian slaves built the pyramid, they'd still be dragging those massive stones. That's true, man. That's very true. Like,
I'll tell you, it was the Zeta Reticuli that damaged the Georgia Guidestones.
oh, really?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now,
Because
why they damage them though? Is it on
well,
purpose?
that's part of the cabal.
Okay.
The powers that be. See, they had them monoglyphs, the big stone pillars
Yeah.
with the writings that they want to cut the world population to 500 million,
Yep.
and they're in control of everything. See, so which means they control everything. The nuclear weaponry, all the event. Now we're getting into AI, that artificial intelligence, right?
Yep.
So I mean, they just did that to send them a message, because they're not going to keep tolerating what they're doing, because it's going to get to a point. Now, for example, the Hadron Collider, where they smash atoms to find the God particle.
Yeah.
Okay, they already told them to cease and desist on that. And if they don't do that, they'll be destroying that shortly.
Oh, wow.
Because when they do that, they power that up. Every session that they have, they'll do an experiment. It'll be shut down a year or two. Then they'll go another one with a little bit more power. And according to the Zeta Reticuli, they don't know what they're playing with.
Listen, I don't know what they're playing either, because I've been told they can create mini black holes, and I'm just thinking, like, are you insane?
Yeah, they're crazy. Yeah, they're crazy.
Are you insane? Like, you want to create a black hole? Do it out there in space. Don't do it on Earth.
Well, that's the thing. That's why the Zetas, send them a message, a roundabout message.
So do you think that's why they're there? Like, why they're here? Their mission or agenda here on Earth? Because I know we have a couple different types of entities. We have, the extraterrestrial, which is, might be from another place or another planet out there. Then we have extra dimensional, that
Right.
could be right next to us and we wouldn't even see it,
Right.
because our eyes only perceive a certain amount of light, or interdimensional.
Right.
And or the fourth one, I guess, future humans, I've heard, came back and said, we killed the planet in the future. We can't do it. Let's go back and change things.
Right.
But what do you think? But what would be? They're still here on Earth. They've got bases, but are they just here to monitor, like you said?
Yeah. They keep an eye out. In other words, as to what's
like a
going
giant
on.
terrarium.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes. Well, hey, that's just what we talked about. It's the same thing that we do to animals. Tag them, bag them, whatever, study them. We do
Right.
that too. So it's like.
Well, see, our reasoning ability is higher than all other species, and that's where our problems come in. See, in other words, being human, you're never truly satisfied. For example, a cow grazing in a field is probably more satisfied by doing just that, grazing in a field. But man, due to his higher level of intelligence, will never truly be satisfied until he self-annihilates.
That's very true. That's very true. So were your experiences more physical or telepathic, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
For example, you could have a colony of 90 billion ants that get along perfectly smooth, like clockwork, with no friction, right? With a brain 1/millionth the size of man's. What's man's excuse?
True. That's very true. We're sitting here fighting amongst ourselves for, resources and everything. When
we're competitive, but we got nobody to compete against but ourselves.
God.
Right? And we got nobody to fear but ourselves.
For now, I've already heard that, you got those people out there. They're like, there's going to be a false flag, and it's going to be, the next thing they're going to want to fight is aliens. That's not even going to be a fight.
Well, no, I mean, I wouldn't put it past the powers that be to stage a false flag alien invasion.
Well, true, yes.
Yeah,
But I just don't think, the powers that be might be able to do that, but that's fine. They don't really care as long as it doesn't happen out there and affect them.
right.
You know.
Well,
So,
that's the thing. That's the thing. They got to make sure that it doesn't go beyond what it should.
well, that's very true. It's like they like we were just talking about, they're monitoring what we're doing here on the planet, our science, all of our studies. But it's like, so you have good and bad both here on the planet, fighting for what? Fighting to help or lead us the wrong way, or both. It's like,
Well, even with people talk about ascension. I mean, how much more could one ascend than to become a god, right? Now you even have wars among gods and
yeah,
angels, right? And the reason for that is going back to nature again. See, we happen to be living in a random, chaotic, unforgiving realm. That's just the way this realm is.
yeah,
See, there's chaos naturally within nature itself. You've got natural disasters like tornadoes, earthquakes, volcano eruptions, tsunamis. Now, if a tsunami came around and wiped out 250,000 people at one time, do you think the universe or nature itself would feel guilty in any way?
no,
That's right. You know why? Because nature need not a creator. Nature has a way of creating, producing, reproducing, sustaining, destroying, and rejuvenating itself.
all the above. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Then it was like, it was a weird. Oh, what was it? I was reading a couple weeks ago that they found out that a leaf off of a tree is actually the nature's first quantum computer, and I'm like, wow, didn't even know that.
Do you know there's actually living insect leaves?
What's that?
Leaves that look, insects that look just
Oh
like
yeah, I've
leaves.
seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, nature's amazing. I mean, and the one thing that everybody says, like, that I keep bringing up is the squid, the octopus, because when it got here, it didn't have to change. It didn't have to adapt to its environment. It literally came here adapted to all environments because it was, could camouflage, could,
Yeah,
do this, make itself small, 8 brains,
yeah, yeah. It's got
that's more,
it's got multiple hots too, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's more alien than anything we've ever seen on Earth, and
right,
nobody's studying it.
right.
I just don't get it.
I don't know.
So do you believe that contacts happen in altered states of consciousness too, when you're not you're meditating,
Uh,
and you're just all of a sudden, boom,
yeah, I
you're
believe
there.
that can happen. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now now does that happen to people in your group? I mean, what kind of stories go on, in alien abduction? What kind of stories are prevalent? Like healing, or tagging, or I've
Well,
heard
that's
I've heard a bunch.
that's one gift that I was actually left with post abduction was the ability to energetically heal others,
Oh
which I
wow.
which I've been very successful at.
Now wow, that's
And
amazing.
I can verify that through different individuals. We got one comment on here, Jim McFarland. That's one man that has experienced healing from me himself.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
he also has one there that says Jim Andre is a good friend.
Yeah.
He is gifted. So, I mean,
I believe
now,
it.
now that's one guy that if he's willing to come on, he'd make another good guest for you.
Hey, anybody who's willing to come on is more than welcome to send me an email. I have no problem whatsoever. Like I said, I'm making this like your network, Jim. Anybody who wants to come on, tell their story, you're more than welcome. You're welcome here. Everybody will hear your story. You know, you and my chat room, I've got some pit bull moderators out there, right, Lady Daniel? So she'll take care of all the stuff in the chat. I ain't worried about that.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm more worried about, listening to the story, hearing it, and understanding what the person went through. Because some people just need a pat on the back saying, I'm here for you.
Right.
That's all they
Exactly.
need. And
Right.
they're not going to
Exactly.
jump off the bridge.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. How did your mom take the experience?
My mom took it more literal.
Yeah.
I was more surprised and just wanting to dig into it, like what just happened. And she was just more, oh yeah, 2 hours are now gone past. I'm like, okay.
Did she have any recollection of what transpired? Or
Not really. Not really. She said the only thing she remembers is walking, and she doesn't remember actually like seeing anything. So it was like, but she does remember like, the when we came out of it, and then the energy stopped and we looked up, it was just a white dot in the sky and it was gone. Like I'm saying that ship left like I don't even know how fast. I could not even tell you.
yeah,
It
at the
was
blink of
gone.
an eye. Yeah. They quick.
It was whew. But it was an experience because that taught me that not everything is what it seems. You're going on a ship, you might think, oh my God, this looks like a horror film. But they're not there to hurt you. They're there to help you, or they're there to heal you, or they're there to teach you something,
Yeah, I think two legit cases of abduction were Bonnie and Betty Hill, and also Travis Walton. I think what happened with Travis is he got hit by a bolt of lightning, and I think they brought him on board to save him. That's what I think happened to him.
I believe it. I believe it. Because they're more benevolent
Right. Right.
than they are evil. Because
Exactly.
you see what happened with Jake Barber, okay? Jake Barber is a military operative carrying an egg-shaped craft with a being in it, and he's flying in his helicopter, and he says, all I feel is this loving energy like my mother. And he
Right.
started bawling when he's flying this helicopter. Like, if I was that entity and I'm being taken by the military to a military post to be interrogated, the last thing I'm going to do is blast out love and peace. But
Right.
that's all it did.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you
So
could feel the energy. Yeah.
it has to be. If it wasn't, it wouldn't have gone.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't have if it didn't want to, right?
Oh, yeah. So why do you believe mainstream disclosure is so slow?
Well, they don't want anybody to know the truth, They just want us to fight amongst ourselves and that's all by design with politics, religion, and whatnot. It's called divide and conquer.
No. Oh, wow. See? Yeah. Like, hey, Jim, like I said, man, like, anybody who wants to come on, doesn't matter to me. I mean, your whole network is welcome on here.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe on a future show you can have me and Jim on as guests.
Yeah, of course. Anytime you guys want to come on, just reach out. You guys are more than welcome to come on. Like, you're doing the same exact thing that I'm doing. And if we co-network together, I mean, you imagine the amount of people we'd reach. And that's what I want to do with, my podcast.
Right.
I'm reaching you, I'm reaching, Russell Reynolds, out of, he does paranormal stuff. I'm reaching, this guy over here, but I'm pulling everybody together into this discussion.
Right.
There's nobody that's left out. Even the computer guys, we got AI.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. What was the most profound message you got told?
I don't see any of it as actually being profound.
Okay.
It's just, man thinks he's so intelligent, but he actually lacks the knowledge that he should have, regarding nature itself. See, life is not as complicated as it seems. Man just makes it that way.
Yeah. And I believe in Vic here too. The people in power, they know they're protecting their jobs rather than giving full disclosure.
Right, exactly.
I believe it. I believe it too. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. It's like, do I want my $2 billion, a year job, or do I want to be making, nothing? Well, then they choose the money. Me, I'm trying to send things. I don't need $2 billion. What the hell am I going to do with $2 billion?
Well, the thing is, we're all slaves. We're slaves to society.
Yeah.
When we're born, we're instantly given a birth record, Social Security identification number.
Yep.
They keep track of us from the time we're born till the time we pass.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're born into a set society that wants to control you. See. And when you're born into a society like that from birth, there's no greater brainwashing.
Well, it's like when you were getting brought up, okay? Was your mother the same way as my mother and my grandmother? Church every Sunday.
Right.
You're going to church. You're going to church. And that indoctrinates you too.
Of course.
To a certain point.
Of course. And to me, nothing about that makes sense, because if you got someone that's depicted as a good and loving God, right?
Yes.
That even admits to being a jealous God, and that if you don't do as he says, you'll burn throughout eternity. That can be scarier than Satan himself.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
With all the death that's in the Bible, you would think, somebody would get it.
Well, God is responsible for millions of deaths in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
And Satan is responsible for, I think, 10, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was what was it? The sheep. Or no. No, God did that. Didn't God send the demons into the sheep and make them run off the cliff?
And God says, "Thou shalt not kill."
Yeah, after he floods the earth.
Not a very good role model, is he?
After he floods the earth. Well, and then you think of it like this, though. The whole Bible, scrap God and put higher entity.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like I said before, chaos is the realm we're living in. Chaos is natural chaos within nature. Yes. So there'll always be chaos amongst men.
There will be always chaos amongst men until we all get together and change it.
Well, yeah, but
it'll take a while. It is going to take a while.
Well, that's the only way. That's the only way to beat the few is to come together as a collective.
You got to start somewhere.
That's right.
You got to start somewhere. Like I said, I mean, that's why I'm here too. You got your network. I'm starting my network. Same thing as yours. Anybody wants to say anything, they're free to say anything on here. Hell, I got, my baby taken, or I this, or I that. Well, there could be a reason for that. There very well could be. Yep. Like maybe your baby had an illness that would kill the baby at birth, and they didn't want to see you go through that emotional change in your body, so they took the baby.
Right.
There could be a million things that they did.
Yeah, I mean, fate is a funny thing,
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you could be going to work one morning, and then you get a flat tire, right? You're pissed off. You got to get out, change the tire. You're all dirty. You're late for work. But then again, if you didn't get that flat, you might have got in an accident a couple of blocks down the road and wouldn't be here anymore.
Yep. Yep. Bible is brainwashing. Yep. Listen, but you understand though that they get you when you're young. That's why it
Well, that's the thing.
sticks.
And there's no greater brainwashing than that.
Yes.
In other words, they got you from birth, so there's no
They
greater
have
brainwashing.
to.
The only way to beat that is if you grow up like us to become a critical thinker.
Yes. And not go along with what they say. You
Right, exactly.
think about what they say. Like you think about the stories in the Bible and you're like, okay, I'll just bring up one story. And it's Moses. He's got a staff and he slams it down and he parts the Nile. Right? That is technology. That is a vibrational technology used to part the waters.
Right.
That's all it is. It's sound vibration.
Yeah.
And then the sound vibration wears off eventually. So they got to hurry up and get across the river. And then it starts flooding behind them because it starts wearing off.
Yeah, well, it's all based on frequencies.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not magic. But back then it was.
Well, yeah, back then it was even so, yeah.
Yeah. And then what was it? They had them in the desert with a machine that they were eating from, for months at a time when they went across the desert. It's like, come on, it's not magic. It's machines that were given to us to help us grow.
Yeah, and it's tough to be a human, Other species, when they're born slaves to survival. But when a man's born, he's born with a double whammy.
Yeah, right.
He's not only born a slave to survival, he's born a slave to society.
Yes. And they have to do that, though. They have to get you when you're young. Because
right, exactly.
when you're older, you've already got that critical thinking through school, high school, college, and you're like, no, what you're saying now doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, even that within itself is education is the same all across the board. So they only teach you what they want you to hear and what they want you to learn,
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just hoping education is turned around, but we'll have to see where that goes. We'll have to see. Education's a big one for me. But so what are the biggest misconceptions skeptics have in ET encounters or anything that like you might have heard? What's the biggest misconception?
Well, they don't believe because they've never experienced, which I, in a way, I can see.
Yeah.
I mean, if they've never experienced it, they've never experienced it. So, maybe someday they will and become a believer.
That's very true. That's very true. I'd say it's more like if it's good to be a skeptic because you learn about the topic more.
Right.
Because if you think you know it all about the topic, you're not going to dig into it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the same thing that we were just talking about church. You get indoctrinated. They're like, this is what it is. And this is all. And you're like, oh, that's it. Okay. And that's it.
Yeah. Look at all these big preachers like Oral Roberts and them guys. It's all about money. It's all about the almighty buck.
Yep. You gotta, well, you see what happens to all these preachers and all these, the money gets to their head. Then all of a sudden, they had an affair with the secretary, or they're on TV. And what was it? The last one that was real famous on TV, I forget his name. The preacher guy on TV, he kept yelling and,
yeah,
he had an affair with, the secretary. And I was like, these preacher guys just.
And there's another one that had like 6 personal jets.
Yeah. It's like, wonderful for you to have all that. And then you got
he had one different one for every day of the week, and he rested.
I know. It's like you couldn't like, oh my gosh. I laugh sometimes because my my preacher, right, at my old church, he was like, he's driving up to the church, big boat on the back of his truck, this giant lifted truck. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, I want to be a preacher when I grow up. Look at that money he's making. But
Oh yeah, they never forget to go around with that collection plate,
Yeah, but what do you do on your network? I'm sure you've had them. Somebody gets on there and is like, this is BS. I don't believe anything you're saying. How do you handle that?
Well, I don't let it bother me. I just let it roll off my back. I mean, I'm an experiencer. I know better. And I can, in a way, see why they're saying what they're saying. And that's just their opinion,
Yeah. Yeah, that's mostly what I do, too. It's like, I understand where you're coming from. You haven't seen it for yourself.
Right.
But when you do, you'll understand where I'm coming from.
Exactly. When you do, I'll be here.
Right? Yeah, right. So like you just like me, it's like, it's more like, I don't know. It's more like, okay, you can come at me with anything you want, but just leave like other people out of it.
Right.
Have you came across like credible insider information, like not whistleblower stuff or stuff that'll change the world, but has anybody ever came onto your network and said, hey, I work here and this happened? Said a story or something anonymously and said, this happened.
I've had a couple of guys that work for like the military, and which they have technology with holograms now, where they can show the spacecrafts up in the sky there, and you swear they're there. You see them there, and that's what their technology is going to be based on when they come out with that false flag alien invasion. Okay. It'll show the crafts in the sky firing weapons, and when in reality the weapons will be being fired by the military industrial complex itself.
Well, I believe that. Yeah. I believe that totally, because you know why? Also, New Jersey, they had a lot of drones over there, a lot of drone sightings, and there's some credible video out there of some of those drones actually shooting lasers down to the ground. Now, if that was just a test, like this is a test of our holographic technology, this is what it'll look like, and now we have people reporting, UFO shooting lasers on the ground. Now they know it worked.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I came across a couple things. I had a guy send me, he sent me a portal opening, and I literally lost everything out of my pants.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got pictures of this, and it blew my mind. This guy sent me pictures of, all right. You ever seen what brain synopsis or whatever, when they do like the EKGs and all that?
Right.
Has all those like spider web looking things, all over the place, like white, red, green.
Yeah.
Almost like that. But it had like this white opening in the middle, like clear white, like piercing white out of the middle. And here's the messed up part. We tracked it down because I'm also a MUFON section state director. And we tracked it down, and there's 6 girls that are missing that fit the description of the girl in the picture going through the portal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, we run into stuff like that, like just insane things that you would not think is real, but it's all real. If you saw it in the movies, there is at least 1% truth to that whole movie.
Exactly.
Even if it's fiction.
Yeah, it's like they predicted the future. Yeah.
Like, what was it? Star Trek with the warp bubbles and stuff, right? We're going to go to warp drive. And now what are they doing? They're testing warp bubbles. They're testing warp drive. Like, it was already there. And then, like we were talking about, my favorite movie, 1985, we got, 1986, sorry, Flight of the Navigator. The little boy psionically connects to the living spaceship to fly around.
Right.
How did they know about that?
Exactly.
You all get fed bits and pieces to condition you to a certain point where they want you.
Right. Exactly.
Like, is it any coincidence that Terminator is coming out with a new movie this summer? Alien is coming out with a new movie this year, and it's all based on Earth. Earth is being destroyed. Aliens are now on Earth instead of up in space. The ship crashes on Earth, and we got to fight them. Like, is it not any coincidence that all these movies are coming out at once at the same time? Like, AI, aliens, fighting, ships.
Right.
It's all there. We're not seeing the big picture. We see little bits and pieces.
Exactly.
And it's going to happen. It's going to be the shift in perception.
Yep.
And then once that happens, we lose. But we don't just lose as like humans. Like, as I don't just lose myself like, oh, game over. Okay. Well, I'll put another quarter in. No, we lose as a species. Like, we're done. But all right. Shift in public perception, since we're getting into that. Do you think more people are more open to the idea of ET contact today than 10 years?
I believe so than ever before, yeah. And I think that's the reason why the Pentagon and all that's been trickling out information that they're admitting that there are unidentified flying objects, which they're not sure what they are, which is a bunch of bull, because we even got that 5th Division of Service now, which is what is that, the Space
Force.
Yeah, Space Force.
Yeah.
So now, with all the technology they put into that, and if they actually have that, how can they turn around and say they have no idea what these crafts are?
Oh, believe me, I had there's going to be a video dropping on Saturday, just so everybody knows. Jim, I'm going to let you know too ahead of time, but hyperdimensional computing and artificial intelligence, okay? And this guy tells a lot, like code names in Space Force. Like, he tells the code names of the Space Force ships in the solar system, and then he says the code names of the spaceships that are in the outer solar system. And I'm like, are you allowed to do this on this show? And he said, well, if we get any slack for it, we might have to take it down and edit it. And I'm like, oh, well, if it goes out, then there's nothing I can do about it. So I don't know, but that's going to drop on Saturday. You got to watch that. It's Saturday at noon on here. It's a pre-recorded one, but yeah, he drops a lot of stuff. Like I didn't realize that we actually had hyperdimensional computing capabilities, that we could actually do it. Yeah. And he said, oh yeah, we can do that. And I just said, let me pick my jaw up. And I said, that means that you can physically calculate how to get to another dimension with hyperdimensional computing. And he said, yes. And I said, what? Like, yeah. This guy's a computer genius, but it's like, if you take all this together, you're like,
it's almost like time travel.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not really traveling in time. You're just traveling through a mirror.
Right, exactly.
Into another place.
Yeah, you're going another dimension.
Exactly. So how do you think technology, like social media, has influenced the discussion?
Well, I think social media is there to actually enslave society itself. I mean, they allow you to use it. You get all this technology at your fingertips. Um, that's just one way they keep. Another way they keep track of who you are and what you believe. In other words, they can actually write up personal profiles of you by
Yeah.
the posts you post and what you say, and so that's just a way of them to control everything, like they've been wanting to do and have been doing since the beginning of time.
Yep. That's what I believe too, man. That's what I believe too. Now, have you ever received any warnings or guidance like about future events coming up? I know a lot of people have heard like, oh, 2026, it's going to be huge, or
Well,
2030, it's going to be huge. And, you hear all these dates like,
well, according to my sources, that false flag alien invasion will take place. When
that's
I'm not
what I
sure.
thought.
Yeah, when I'm not sure, but
I've been hearing in the next couple years, and at least in the next 5 years. That's what I've been hearing. But I mean, only time will tell. And are we going to believe it?
well,
Or
I think the majority will, because that's going to cause nothing but chaos amongst the masses. You
the
know,
only way to get rid of that then is to unmask them.
unfortunately, the majority will believe that it's an actual ordeal taking place, and then they'll have to surrender to the
Hmm.
those who are in control, because they want protection. But for any society to give up their freedom in order to be protected
Oh yeah,
deserves neither.
yeah. And look, like I was just telling my son the other day. Hey, it doesn't matter. You got your phone and everything. They go down the street and they've got that Stingray centipede. That's it's a mobile tower device. So any signals go to there and then go to the tower,
Yeah.
and it doesn't get interrupted. And then they get all your information along the way.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's why they give us this technology, so they can keep track of everything we're doing.
Yeah. By the time you have the technology, it's like,
It's like a lot of crimes today are solved with the cell phone technology. They get a warrant to check their phones, and they see the messages, what time the phone calls were made. They know where the suspect was by where the phone pings off a tower.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah, so that's what that's all about.
yeah. But then the suspect's like, hey, how many other phones did you have to tap to get to my location? Oh, 100,000. So you got all that information of those people just to get to me. Like, that don't make a lot of sense. But yeah, Lady Daniel and me, we're big on the ET embassy. There's an extraterrestrial embassy that we're trying to make happen, and NATO, and we're trying to push this through and make it happen. Like a good friend of mine was on here, and we were talking about it. And hey man, they're trying to get funding. I mean, they have the funding. They just need a nation to ratify the treaty,
Right.
and it pretty much states that this is neutral ground here, no government, no weapons, no unauthorized personnel, and they have 100-mile buffer, and that's it.
Well,
That's all.
the powers that be, good luck with that, because anything like, for example, the Branch Davidians, right? David Koresh,
Mhm.
they were bothering nobody. The government went in there and took them out, because
That's
if they
true.
feel that you're a threat to them in any way, which that
That's why.
embassy, which that embassy would be, I don't think
That's
you'd be, not to burst your bubble,
oh yeah.
but I don't think you'd get very far with that.
Well, that's why they're trying to go through it the right way. They got to go through NATO first, and try to get a country to
Well,
jump onto it first.
NATO is a part of that those who are in control. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.
That's
None of them I don't think have jumped on yet. That's the problem. Which I told them, I was like, okay, why don't you just buy an island in international waters?
I was gonna say that, yeah.
Boom.
But you see what's gonna stop them from going over there and obliterating you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a thing that we would need. Okay, we'd probably need the extraterrestrials, protection as well from our own people,
Right.
just to meet them.
Right.
I mean, I'm not
Now,
sure.
if that's something that we could arrange, as a matter of fact, I'm going to work on that from my end, because if that's something we could arrange and be offered protection from the extraterrestrials themselves, we could go full blown out with that.
Oh yeah.
With no problem.
I mean, we've been in contact with a bunch of people from different places, trying to figure out where exactly we could put this at, because my thing would be Greenland, but we got a lot of military bases there, so I'm not sure exactly, what would, I don't know. It would have to be somewhere neutral.
Right.
Neutral and away from nuclear weapons, away from it had the Arctic or somewhere like either the Arctic or the poles, maybe. But yeah, it was so what's his name? Sullivan Reichon. He's a co-founder for the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomacy. And the ET Embassy and the Rael movement over there in across the ocean. But yeah, they're doing some good work, man. They've got some plans, they've got some blueprints, they've got everything done. Engineers, scientists, they've got everything. They just don't have, and yes, love is the way to unite everybody, but we got a lot of people, Lady Daniel, that don't believe in that. They're greedy, they're selfish, and they're not very nice.
That's right.
Like me, if I won the lottery, you know what I would do? Well, I would probably take about most of it and it would be gone, because I want to take a trip to Africa. I do. And I'm just going to, hey, you don't have water? You got a water machine. You got a water machine. You got a water machine. I'm going to go over there and just, go nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend it over here. They're not going to be grateful for me spending money in the United States, but spend $1 million over in Africa.
Yeah.
You're now the next president. Even though I don't want to be that. I just want to help people. Yeah. Somebody else can lead and I'll help the people. I don't want that kind of role. My role more is like, I want to bring more people together. Bring more people together and connect with more, have more like-minded conversations.
Well, the masses far outweigh the 1%. We could beat them.
But our 1% is going to roar like a what.
we could beat them easily just by gathering together as a collective,
Oh yeah.
But that's easy to say and hard to do.
Yeah. So you believe there's a spiritual or evolutionary aspect to alien contact?
Well, I believe that the contact is kind of shaky itself, because not enough people are knowledgeable and believe that these entities exist to begin with. See, that's the problem.
Okay.
And those who might wake up one day and say, well, maybe they do exist, I think the majority of them people would be fearful because of it. And that's where all the problem lies, as far as a smooth disclosure, if you will. I mean, there's no such thing as a smooth disclosure, But from what other information I've gathered from the Zeta Reticuli, the first open public landing of a legit landing of actual UFOs and extraterrestrial entities is going to be right here in Florida at a place called Bach Towers.
Wow.
I live about 7 miles from there.
Okay. It's just like, I'm hoping that more people will be like us. Like if we sit there and get all of us together as networkers, you know, and oh, yep, God and grace are both extra. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. You know, you've got all that is talking about. You've got, you know, it doesn't say, you know, that these angels weren't extraterrestrials. All it says is that they fell from the sky.
Right.
You know, they were fallen angels that fell from the sky. Well, if they fall from the sky and they land on the earth, then they're physical.
Right.
So, you know, that it's a bunch of nonsense in the Bible that is put together like
What it was actually is basically UFOs. I mean, when
yeah,
you got hieroglyphics, right, of UFO saucers and astronauts, they couldn't dream that up. The only way they could relate to that is if they witnessed it.
yeah.
That's the only way.
Well, they had UFOs following them to the moon, didn't they? Like
I don't believe we even went to the moon, to be honest with you.
I'm in the middle. I'm like, I really am, because you have to understand me on this. Like, I really truly believed we did. And then I met this guy and he was like, Jason, look at this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to look at it. And he's like, you're starting to be like a UFO person, not listening to people. I'm like, oh, I guess I am. I better start. All right, fine. I'll listen to you. I swear to God, he changed my mind from 100% we went to the moon to like a 52. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well,
it hurt my brain.
yeah. For one thing, you've got that radiation belt. What is it? Orion's radiation belt.
Yes, the
I don't
radiation
see how
belt.
you can pass through that and survive.
It's oh God, because and then he brought up there was a news conference that happened on the International Space Station, and I about lost my stuff in there too, because I was like, the guy is talking about, oh, when we get past this radiation belt, people can't be sent past it yet. But once we get the equipment, after we learn up here at the International Space Station how to survive past the radiation belt, then we can send organics through. And he said, and possibly go to the moon, Mars, or even farther in space. And I was like,
exactly.
He said the moon.
That's right.
He said possibly go to the moon.
Right. Exactly.
What?
And how long has that space station been up there?
Oh, years. Oh, years. And that briefing that he showed me was last year.
No, that was about, they've been up there about 30 years, I guess.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the briefing, though, when it said like about him saying about the moon and everything, the radiation belt, that was like,
but so what I'm getting at is if they ain't found a way to do it within the last 30 years, how'd they do it in the first place?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That one guy, he was studying it for the longest time. And it was just weird. Like the way he came out with everything, like, look at the Earth from the window of the spaceship. And then he was real scientific on this. And then like, you know, and then somehow or another, he got an unedited tape that was given to him from NASA, right? And within when he was there or something. And the tape matches completely with the tape they released on the screen, you know, for everybody to see. However, there was one difference on his unedited version. there's a scene in there to where the astronauts are going away from the Earth, and right before he says that it's beautiful, it's a blue whatever and everything that we're going away from, you can hear in the background one of the guys say, "Okay, now talk." Like you're giving, like they need to have a 2-second delay,
Right.
or nobody's going to think it's real.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And you can hear that in the audio, "Now talk."
Yeah.
And I'm like, no way.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, when they left the moon, the land is launching off. Who's there taking a picture of it going off?
And I have a lot of other stuff. Like there's a lot of other stuff that I could bring up. Like the camera they used, okay, had crosshairs on them.
Yeah.
And the actual camera, you could see them in all the negatives.
Right.
Those crosshairs are stabilizers for the camera, individual. So they could stabilize the background because that's what they thought they were going to use in space, right?
Right.
So if you use that picture and you put it up, you see these crosshairs in the negative, right?
Yeah.
Or not in the negative, in the picture.
Right.
But then once you go to the negative, those crosshairs on the whole top are gone, and it's replaced by like a fake background.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well then you took a picture of the mountain.
And another thing is all the angles of the shadows of the lighting are off.
The guy got that too. He said
Yeah.
that NASA said they took up one camera. And I said, okay, he said, okay, remember that one camera. I said, okay, I'm remembering. He goes, look at this shot. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at it. He shoots it this way, right?
Yeah.
But there's another shadow coming this way.
Right.
At
Exactly.
a 45-degree angle. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm looking at it and I'm going, wait a minute. They took up one camera. So
Yeah,
where did the second flash come from?
Wherever that lighting is coming from,
Yep.
all them shadows should be the same exact angle.
Yeah, 40. They should be going the same direction.
Right, exactly.
And they're not. And that threw me off too. I was like, well, wow, I can't really say anything about that because you can't duplicate it.
Right.
Not with one camera. I mean,
yeah, to me, I think that was a big hoax. I mean,
oh yeah, that was the biggest hoax. And I mean, I'm getting there. See, now you're getting me to say hoax. Dang it. Come on now. I'm still on the gray line. Dang it. I try to stay gray. Because there's always information we don't have.
right.
And I want it. Like, I wanted to make a better decision, but the best one I got right now is like a 50-50. I got a 50-50, which isn't a good toss-up. But so spiritually lives, like people gotta grow though to have these experiences. They just can't be a greedy person wanting to rule the world and some alien's gonna be like, I've got your back, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would have to be emotionally, right?
Right.
You'd have to grow as a human being, as a person, as a living thing in this universe.
A living entity, yeah.
Yeah, just like they did. But man,
I'm a firm believer in reincarnation because that's nature's way. See, one law of nature is that nothing lasts forever, but nature's way of compensating for that is in phases through the never-ending recycling process of nature.
Yeah, well, it's like
from day and night, seasons to lifetimes.
Well, it's like us. We're energy, and energy can't be destroyed.
That's right.
That's a proven fact.
The physical body will be destroyed, but the spirit and the energy will move on to another place, another time, another dimension, and another form.
Exactly. And who knows? Who knows if we don't? Because I've heard a bunch of stories. I've heard when we die, we go up and we have a choice. Hey, you can either move on or, you can come back and learn more.
Yeah.
And
as as far as that heaven and hell deal, I don't believe in either one of those. You know,
I don't believe it's I
because
don't believe it's literal.
they say that sin is the price of death is the price of sin, right? So I'm convinced that being a human being, having experienced this journey, that when I pass, uh, uh, I'm paying my debt for the sins that I committed during the course of my journey. I'm convinced that I'm just as innocent when I die as when I was born.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. That's how we all are too. Like that's how we all should feel at the end. You
Right,
know, we came into this world, we did the best we could,
right,
and now we're moving on.
exactly.
But man, there's so much hate in the world though, like so much. And building networks, like that's where it's at. You know, your network, my network, the other network down the street, we're going to join everyone together into one.
Yeah, but
And
even at that, you got these social platforms that like to, you know,
oh yeah,
inhibit your speech and all that. You know, take down your videos and all that stuff, which I don't think is right.
yeah,
Because, I mean, you know, they're taking away our constitutional rights, freedom of speech,
oh yeah, that's censorship. That's censorship
censorship.
right there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's. I don't believe that either. If you have anything to say, okay, there's one thing. All right, only one thing I had, which is the same thing YouTube does. If what is this video made for? 18 or older or not? That's the only thing I would agree with. Is if it's 18 or older, hell, you can swear all you want. You could say F this, F that, F
yeah,
this, F,
yeah.
because it's made for adults.
Right,
But if it's not, and you say, if I put this video out there and said it's for kids, which I didn't,
right.
then, we would be like, oh, we'd be restrained with what we say, which,
Exactly.
we're
Yeah,
going to hear it anyway.
right.
Shoot. My 7-year-old, son came home from school one time and said, Dad, what is this mean? And I'm like, whoa, who told you to say that? And he was like, oh, nobody. I just heard it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
hear everything.
Oh yeah, they pick everything up. Yeah.
So, you've experienced missing time. You said.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what happened during that?
I got a very foggy memory of what transpired.
Okay.
I don't totally recollect it. No.
Okay. You ever went like trying to get help to remember it
Well,
more, or
yeah. I've. It's funny because you mentioned that you're a MUFON member, right?
yes?
And I spoke to different members along the way. They say they're going to get me help, but they never get back to me. I like to try maybe like hypnotic regression or something like that.
Yep. Regressive hypnosis.
Right, right,
Yep. 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 I was actually now with regressive hypnosis. You have to get the right person because the only thing that I know really about regressive hypnosis is that take somebody with you that you trust.
right.
Be
Exactly.
in the
Because,
room with you
see,
because
yeah, because I'm
they're
glad you mentioned that
suggestive.
because that's how I feel. See, because when you have a hypnotist, right, it's power of suggestion, right?
Yes,
So how do I know whether I actually experienced that or that hypnotist is giving me the idea that I did?
exactly. That's
Yeah,
why I say also, just from me and MUFON, that's what I would do.
yeah,
That's what I tell people as well. And that's what I'm going to do too when I go to a hypnotherapist or whatever, or
right,
regressive therapist. I'll have another person in there with me because it's more the lines of like you're in a REM sleep. You're more susceptible. They can imprint memories. They can tell you you're doing this, tell you you're doing that, and then you come out of it and you think you did it.
right,
But that's why I say, always, even when you're walking in the woods, walk with somebody. Don't walk by yourself. That's what missing 411 happens. walk
like
around the corner and you walk
right.
into a portal.
Yeah, like these hypnotists have people on stage acting like chickens and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Power of suggestion. So
And it's true. Like
yeah,
it's real. It's not even false. Like these people really do it, and they'll keep doing it until they, snap their finger or whatever.
right, exactly.
But they're really good tools if you find the right person.
Right.
So I know we have
MUFON don't have a special like
not for regression.
no.
We have an ERT team for like experiencers and everything. And they're full of like our doctors and lawyers and all the other top people in MUFON are in the ERT,
Yeah.
and they'll come and they'll help you though. I mean, I can get you in touch with a couple people that are high up there. George Medich, he's actually in charge. He's the doctor in charge of the entire program.
Oh yeah.
So if anybody
is that government run?
no. Oh hell no. No, with MUFON, we're all volunteers. Everybody's volunteers. We don't make any money. I don't make any money going out to investigate. The only thing I make is the money of the information.
Right.
The value that I get from the information.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's not. It stays on CMS. And becomes part of our file of I think we have over like 1 million cases now or something.
Right.
But
and that's another thing. I mean, out of 1 million cases, they can't all be hoaxes. You know what I'm saying?
No. We've got many. I mean, I've had people that have contacted me, and I go to their house, and they say, "We don't want to talk to you anymore." Because somebody already got to them.
Oh
yeah. I've had that happen.
Probably the men in black.
I mean, it could be, could very well be. That because I've heard so many stories, and it's not just. I think they just do that to scare you, like the Grim Reaper.
Well, Dan Aykroyd had a run-in with him one time.
Yeah, like you couldn't show up in like a white robe or something, acting like Jesus Christ, saying that. I'm going to heal you, but you better not say anything or you're going to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd actually had a run-in with them at one time.
Oh, boy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's crazy. Like everybody seems to have run-ins with them. I did. They followed me. They followed me for
living in Massachusetts. They followed me a lot, too.
Yep. They follow the people they're very interested in keeping tabs on, like the people that are actually making a difference or trying to.
Right, exactly.
Like this person isn't a problem now, but they could be.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. So let me see here. I've had the same. My cousin done. Yeah, see, it's like that. Like that is why. Like that's why Jim's got his network. That's why we've got our network here, Lady D. People, your family doesn't even want to talk. Ooh,
exactly.
Your family don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, they think you're nuts. Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is. Like you have people that sit there and are like, I love you, but you're nuts. You love me, you understand me, but I'm nuts.
Right.
Oh, okay, thanks. Gee, thanks. Gosh. So, do you think that we're going to be able to find some ancient or lost knowledge here that is in these buildings underneath them, underneath the ancient structures?
Oh, you mean underneath the pyramids? Yeah.
Because I know some of them I've heard, like, they have wires or vibrational energy tech, which
frequencies. Yeah.
It makes sense. You all you need is a pole to go down a certain far distance in the earth and a certain circumference. And then once the ground moves, you're creating energy.
Yeah, vibration. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So have you always encountered malevolent entities, or have you ever encountered negative entities?
Oh, my encounter has been positive so far.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's wonderful. Like a lot of people, some people are like I said, they're not understanding what's going on with them.
Right.
You know, lady wakes up one day and is 6 months pregnant, and then wakes up the next day and she has no kid. Like, they stole my baby. You know, that's the only thing she's thinking.
Right.
Oh boy. Let's see. Do you believe that extraterrestrials walk with us in human form?
I believe that's possible. Yeah.
Okay. Me too.
And I believe there's species out there that look like us.
I think there is too. Exactly like us, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just with a little bit smaller eyes and a smaller mouth, and I think less pronounced ears. But how do you distinguish? Like, you've had this happen to you before. I've had it happen to me. I'm sure other people in the chat room have had it happen to them before. How do you distinguish between real contact, a false memory, hallucination, I drank too much, or it's really happening? Like, is that based on the person? Like, is that based on you yourself? Like, I
Well,
know it's real. Like,
yeah, I guess that's based on personal experience. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can go with that. Because everybody's different.
Exactly.
Everybody's different when they're
And,
brought up with.
it all depends on what angle you look at it from, too. You know what I mean?
Very true. Very true.
And people look at things in different ways. So,
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. Exactly. They look at it different ways.
yeah.
Like, you stole my baby, not, no, I just protected you because if you would have had this baby, you would have died, or
Right.
whatever, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what would disclosure look for you, and how would you prepare us psychologically for it?
Well, I think that's the problem.
I mean, like, would you
try to prepare somebody psychologically?
I mean, you put out a how-to manual, like on your Alien Connection Truth Network, like,
Well,
this
yeah.
is what aliens do. This is what they don't do.
That's actually something I'll be working on.
Okay.
But the problem is to try to convince everybody of it.
Very true.
That's the problem, you know.
Well, I mean, I would use the like I said, the Jake Barber, because him flying to a military base for that thing to be interrogated, and it's still pushing out loving energy, like,
yeah,
it's loving. It's not gonna do anything to hurt you. So,
right.
Like, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. If I was Jake Barber and I had that come over me, that love and that, nope, we're turning around. I will not be able to give this thing up.
Yeah.
Not happening.
So what do you have? What do you have? The entity and the craft?
Yeah, he had both.
Yeah.
He had both. He said there was an entity in the craft. Then he felt the entity's presence, the loving energy, like the love from his mother.
What type of technology did they use to be able to take it like that?
I know it was a psionics team that brought it down. It was an egg-shaped craft, and they used, I believe it was a Chinook or a, what are they called? It's not, it's a bigger version of a Black Hawk.
Oh, yeah.
But they use them with the nets.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll crate it up on the net. But it's basically like, he was flying over the mountain and just felt this incredible energy, hit him, like love. And I'm like,
So where they deliver it? Area 51.
didn't say. He just delivered it to where he needed to, and then he went back to what he was doing. And I was like, nope, couldn't do that. Couldn't do that. I'm sorry. See, look, here we go. When the grace, it was like feeling of love, like God. See, like God was with me. See, everybody
That's right.
feels that, and that's the way.
right.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's my buddy Jim. He'll come on a future show with us.
That's awesome, man. I'd be more than happy to have you, man. More than happy to have you. The more, the merrier.
Now that experience he's talking about is when 3 Grays visited him to actually heal him because he had cancer at the time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That is incredible. And I would love to hear that story. I really would.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself got healed, other people have been healed,
Yeah.
Maybe what we need to do is we need to spread.
That seems to be a common factor.
Yeah, I think we need to spread the message of just they're healers, not hurters.
Right. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's, and like I said, maybe, hey, you know what? We've got all this month, we've got things for guests and everything all lined up down the month. Maybe one of these days at the end of the month, we'll do a experiencers panel.
All right.
Put everybody on the screen. Me, you, 25 other people if they want to come up here on the screen, and we'll just do it like that. We'll mute everybody, and then if you want to talk, you just unmute yourself, you talk, and then you mute yourself.
Right.
We can do it that way. I would love it. I mean, the more the merrier. The more people we get together, the more the message spreads.
Exactly.
And that's what I felt when I got taken as well. Oh boy.
Did you a favor? You called me a prick.
Yeah. Just wait. He's going to send them to your house. You're going to get probed tonight. Then you're going to be telling them tomorrow that, hey, don't send it back. Oh, boy. We can have a good old time up here talking about that. Oh, boy. But, so what's next for you? Like the Alien Truth Network. Like, what's next? You trying to grow? You got books. You got.
Well, I'm actually working on a book.
Okay.
The title is Humanity and Endangered Species.
Oh, it looks like you did send them over. When we have this experiences panel, I'm gonna have to put it to 18 plus. It's gonna get bad. Gonna get nitty gritty with the poopy emoji. So really, all right. So you got the book coming out. You're working on that.
Yeah.
You're going to expand, the Alien Connection Truth Network.
Well, I mean, I had a podcast going for a while. I think I might start that back up again. But
hey, that'd be wonderful, man. I mean, Jeff, I had him on there. Jeff, I had him on here before. He was a Jeff Woolwine. Ugh. Yeah, that name, I mess it up every time. Probably axed me after he sees this episode. But Jeff, he was the one that termed the coin jellyfish UAP way back in 2005.
Yeah.
And researched the Hohokam disappearing the Indians and everything. And man, that was a good show too. Like he's a really good guy too to have on. Like he's got a lot of experiences, and he dives into like the petroglyphs and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the key, like you said, is to build a network, a big network,
Exactly. Exactly. Like, if we can get everybody together, make one website, and just sponsor everyone that we have on there.
Right. Exactly. In other words, awareness is the key.
It is.
Yep.
It definitely is. Because if everybody in the world is aware that they're not going to hurt you, then this false flag event isn't going to make a difference.
Exactly.
You know, you can look up at the sky and laser beams are shooting down, and you're going to be like, well, they might be testing the ground for radiation. I'm going to leave that one go. And you won't even think twice,
Yeah.
you know, so upcoming projects or collaborations. Obviously, I'd love to collaborate with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Keep
No
this
doubt.
going. Keep it getting
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you hope to achieve coming in the future years?
Well, I just actually I'm retired now. You know, I don't have much to do, so I devote my time to the purpose of full disclosure. You know.
That's the same as me.
Yeah.
And my hat's off to you too.
Yeah.
Hey,
There you go.
yep, I'm retired myself. My hat's off to you, sir. It is, because hey, anybody who served, my hat's off to you, because you actually took the time, went in on your own accord, and did something. You know,
Exactly. Yep.
you didn't piss around like all these guys, and you know, no offense, people that are 300-400 pounds and live in their mother's basement, but
Right.
it's time to get a job and get out.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's the most important thing people should understand about ET contact?
Well, I think most of them are have good intentions, you know, and not to be afraid.
Okay.
I mean, it's not easy not to be suspicious or afraid of something you don't understand, but it doesn't mean that it's bad just because you can't understand it.
That's true. I mean, your initial, even when I got taken on the ship, when I actually remembered later on down the line, and I remembered like little bits and pieces, I had a shock myself. You know, when I saw the face of the praying mantis, right here, and I was like, oh my God, but after that, it's more like, wow, that was really beautiful.
Right.
I didn't think it was an evil entity trying to like eat me,
Right. Exactly.
or like caring for me, like a mother, pretty much.
You know, everything happens for a reason, you know.
I
And,
believe that as well too.
and just because you don't understand it at first doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
That's very true. That's
Yeah.
there's always a reason behind the madness.
Right.
So how can people best prepare for their own experiences?
Well, I mean, if they, for example, what we do, if they take heed to what we're saying, it should be more of a comfort to them if, you know, full disclosure does occur, you know.
Yeah,
At least they'll know what to expect.
that's very true. Very true. Lady D sends her love to you.
Yeah. Right back at you.
We have a lot of good people on this network here too, man. A lot of people that care, a lot of people that have a lot of good hearts here. A lot
That's
of good
good.
hearts.
Yep.
So hold on, we got another one. Jim sent them to me. If they oh boy.
Yeah, that's why you experience sleep paralysis.
Yeah, right? They were like, listen, Jim already told us about you. We already knew we had to paralysis you. Yes, I believe in that too. Good hearts attract good hearts, man. That's very true. Mac the human, you are a good heart. You
Yep.
very are. Yes, you are. So I told you, we got a lot of good hearts in here, man, but I want to grow it bigger.
Oh yeah.
This is only the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I want this to be like your network, man. When I saw your network and I was like, wow, look at this guy's website. Yeah, look what he's doing. Like all these people are coming together and telling their stories
Right.
and not being shunned or not being, oh, you're nuts, you're this, you're that.
Yeah, that's the reason why I started that, so they could have a platform where they could feel comfortable with,
Exactly.
being able to tell their story without, being ridiculed.
Yeah, exactly. You're very welcome, Matt the Human, because believe me, like that's what we need here. We have good hearts, good people, and you know what? It's yep. It's just like he said. At the end of the day, Jim's a great man. He's my best friend. He's like my brother from another mother. Yep. I've heard that before. I've heard many times I've said that to my friends, If we're alike, you are a brother from another mother. Because that's the way I feel. It's just it's all good. It's all good gravy and heart. I mean, that's all I have. That's all I have for everybody.
Well, love is the key.
It is too. And that is exactly what we got. Mac the Human. Good hearts attract good hearts. And I believe that totally, man. And I believe, hey, we're doing this for a reason.
That's it.
Exactly. They got us,
and we connected for a reason.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, man. But hey, is there anything you want to say to end it for the night? Where they can find your work.
Yeah, well, I've got the Alien Connection Truth Network. It's a Facebook group.
Okay.
I've also got a website, www.jimandre.net.
All right. We'll go ahead and we'll put that in the description as well. If you want to send that to me, the website on Facebook after we're done on Messenger.
Yeah, all right, I'll do that.
I'll add it to the description.
I'll put it in Messenger. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, anytime you want to come on here, you're more than welcome, Jim.
All right, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a real pleasure to have you on. And anytime any of your members want to get on here. Oh, there we go. Mac the Human, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Anytime you want to get on here, you call me up. Probably it's gonna be. Let me check here. Check my calendar actually. It's probably going to be near the end of the month, but I actually want to do that with you if you don't mind. Have an experiencers night, the 30th or the 23rd. I think on the 20.
Whatever works for you. I'm flexible, so.
Yeah. I definitely am too. I can be flexible for you, or you could be,
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, you can let me know. Just contact me.
Yeah, I definitely will, man.
Yeah.
But all right, man. You have a good night, and it was great to have you on, man.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thanks, man. Whoop. Have a great night, man.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
All right, that was Jim Andre. Oh man, it was great to have him on. Now we've got a great guest coming up. Okay. We got some more great guests. Oh my God. Yeah, he was the coolest. We are definitely going to have experiencers meeting on here, because very cool guy. Heart of gold. And that's what we need here, in the Galactic Family Podcast. We need these hearts. So let me tell you what we got coming up next. On this Saturday at 12 o'clock. Yes, you heard it, people. The only time that we actually release at noon. It's going to be a pre-recording, and we have John Melendez, Hyperdimensional Computing and Artificial Intelligence and Consciousness. Oof, this guy really just blew my mind away with everything he knew about hyperdimensional computing, artificial intelligence, and just blew my mind away. So we've got him coming out on Saturday at noon will be the release of that. And I'll actually be in the chat room as well for once to answer any questions you guys are going to have for the guests or anything. No, instead of John Melendez. Yeah, John Melendez. John. But all right. Then we got Stephen Bassett. And he is the co-founder of Hollywood Disclosure. Oh, when you saw the notice today. Yeah, it's Melendez, John Melendez. Yeah, I had to change the time instead of it coming out on, the notice. Yeah, it came out today. But I had to change the time on it, so it did it like twice, and it came out. So, but this guy, Stephen Bassett, he is in charge of the Paradigm Institute. So we're going to have him on here. Paradigm Institute is actually the ones that are the scientific organization that partner with MUFON. And they're gonna be helping us out. Then we've got get it going on here. We got Daniel Drazen. Hoo-hoo. That's gonna be a good one too. Daniel Drazen, get my notes up here. Hoo-hoo. He is a visionary thinker, award-winning documentary filmmaker, pioneer researcher in the afterlife. He studies that for over decades, and he explores the profound questions of what happens after we leave the physical world. And he's going to shed some light on the scientific evidence of the survival of consciousness. Now, that's going to be awesome. April 12th, 8 p.m. We're doing our podcast is coming on every Wednesday and every Saturday. If it's not pre-recorded, or if it is pre-recorded, it'll be coming out at noon, which is why this Saturday is coming out at noon. If it's not pre-recorded, it'll either be 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That'll be the start time for it. Okay. After we have Daniel Drazen, we are going to have Ron Moorhead. He is the best known for capturing the Sierra Sounds, Bigfoot. He's the legendary figure in Bigfoot research. And he's been studying these creatures for over 50 years. So we're going to have a great discussion with him. That's April 16th. Lindsay Laham. We've got her on April 19th at 8 p.m. And she is a professional psychic medium, intuitive guide, and spiritual entrepreneur. She also locates lost pets. That's right. I've never heard of this, but I would love to know this, okay? This girl can find lost pets with extraordinary accuracy. Down to the yard, people. Come on. You lost your pet? This is the person you want to talk to. I got her coming on this podcast. All you need to do is come in here, give us your questions in the chat room, and we will make sure to get them to the guests. We've got after that, on the 26th, we have Andrew Morgan, visionary scientist, educator, pioneer in UAP, NHI, and future technologies. That's right. We've got free energy coming, but we got to talk to him first. That's April 26th at 7 p.m. And then the last but not least, by any means, is the woman with the plan, Mary Rodwell. She will be on the Galactic Family Podcast on April 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And she is a true pioneer in the field of extraterrestrial research, contact, and human consciousness. She is the founder of the Australian Close Encounter Resource Network. She spent decades working with people who've had individuals just like ours, who've had extraordinary experiences and non-human intelligence that challenge our understanding of reality, evolution, and the very nature of consciousness itself. So we are going to have her on here at the end of the month. So we've got a lot of people, all right? But what we're going to do is we are going to slide in here another day, which will be the 23rd. So we now have the entire month of April covered, guys. The 23rd of April, we're going to do an Experiencers Night here on the Galactic Family Podcast. All is welcome to be on the screen, tell your story, and be yourself. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You don't have to do anything. It's going to be adults only night, people, for the 23rd of April, Experiencers Night. And you know what? We are going to get it going on here at the Galactic Family Podcast that night. All right, people. I love everyone here. I'm so glad you guys were able to make it. Mac the Human, Lady Daniel, as always, and everyone that was here, everyone that came along with this ride with us tonight. I love you guys, and this is what we were here for. We were here to make a difference, and we're all one species, born of Earth, to do what? To spread peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light. It might be just words that are said by people, but it's not to me. We need to accept that, and we need to move on. And we need to grow as human beings. Let's go, people. Subscribe, like, share. Let's grow this network, and let's get this message out there that you're not nuts. You're not crazy. Your experience was real. Your experience was your own. And no one here will tell you that you made it up, that you're lying, that you're crazy. You should be in a mental ward. If anybody says that to you, they are gone immediately. Lady D, the pit bull, will be on your and they will be gone. Mac the human will be on your and you will be gone. There's no messing around, people. All right? We grow this network the right way. Peace, love, and understanding, and light. That's all we do. Peace, love, and light. Okay, people? All right. I'm going to call it a night, guys, but it was glad to have you on here. I'm glad to see everybody on here. I'm glad that everybody had a good time and everybody was in the chat room, and we all had a wonderful time tonight. All right, Galactic Family Podcast. Have a great night. And like we end every night, what is it, everybody? We are all one species, born of Earth, to spread peace, love, and light to the universe. Thank you, people. Good night.